Steve Collins, hello, good evening to you.
Good evening to you too.
How are you, Steve? Are you good? Are you well?
Living the dream, top of the
Good,
world.
good.
Doesn't get any better.
Good, well, that's nice to hear.
Well, I thought I couldn't get better. Then talkSPORT rang me.
Oh, well, listen, now your day can't get better, that's a fact. But listen, do you know what? We got you on to talk to you about, of course, that fast at the weekend, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But I'm led to believe that this week is an anniversary for you. Is that right?
Yes, it's scary. On this date, 35 years ago, I fought a main event in the Showboat Hotel in what's now called Old Vegas in Nevada, and
Right.
it's scary how fast time has gone. Unbelievable.
Why is that fight? I don't recall this fight. Why is this fight so important to you in your career?
Well, every fight was important in my career. I suppose it was. I was US champ, and I got the opportunity to showcase, defend my title in the main event in Vegas, which is every fighter's dream. And I remember being, what's called Old Vegas, being in the Showboat, thinking, "This is it. I'm on top of the world. I'm the main event in the Showboat." And everybody spoke about this new hotel they're going to open up called the MGM that year.
Oh
But
dear.
prior to that, the Showboat was, it didn't get any better. And I thought, this is it now. I've made it. And next fight now is going to be, I'll be fighting for the world title here. And all my dreams, I was 25 years old. My hard-working dreams were coming true. So, yeah, that was it. But the fact is, it's 35 years ago. It's frightening how fast time
Yeah.
goes. And I remember like it was only last year. It's amazing, small things that happened, like in the gym, training before the fight, stuff going on there. I remember I was in there sparring, and Iran Barkley was in there, and I asked to spar Iran, you know, and he refused to spar me. He says, "No, we could fight one day." He said, "We shouldn't spar." And I said, "Well, maybe we should spar, and maybe we might avoid each other, But he didn't. He hadn't got a great personality. He didn't want to spar me. And I remember there's another young kid in there, a guy called Dan Sherry, a Canadian middleweight,
I remember
and
him.
I get to spar him, and he absolutely frustrated the hell out of me. This kid could move. He was so fast. He was so good. And I thought, who the hell is this guy, And I never heard of him again. And then maybe a couple of years later, I see him match to fight Chris Eubank, and nobody knew him. And I know this guy. This guy will beat Chris Eubank. This guy is something special, And they all said, no, he's just an opponent from Canada. He's nobody. And well, in my opinion, he did beat Eubank, but shenanigans that night didn't happen. So all these little things all came
Wow.
flashing back to me. What happened on the date.
Did Dan Cherry fight Nigel Benn as well? I'm sure I was actually there for that fight.
I know he fought after Chris Eubank. He fought all the big names,
Yeah.
and he never actually beat any of the big names. I think he fought Doug DeWitt, Nigel Benn. He may have even
Doug
fought.
DeWitt.
He may have even fought Barkley. These were all the names around
Yeah.
the top 10.
Yeah.
And I recall someone showed me a poster from the top 10 back in that day, and I fought 6 of the guys in the top 10,
Wow.
and that was the combined top 10.
Such a great division back then. It really was.
Well, people don't do that nowadays, and I looked over it. The WBO had not been, wasn't existing then, so it was WBA, WBC, and IBF, and I thought, people say to me, your career, your success. What was the reason for your success? And my reason wasn't that I was any way better than any of the guys I beat, but having been in that mix and having fought 6 of the top 10 fighters, the combined top 10, which is all the champions put together, having fought 6 out of the top 10, I said, that's where I learned my trade. So it was the education I had that got me my success. Not that I was any way better than any of the guys that I was successfully against. I just received a great education over there, being in the mix with all these great fighters. And in America, they just threw you in. It didn't matter. Because after that fight in Vegas, I decided to go back to Dublin to visit my family because I was living in America. It was that was my home. And I came back Christmas to see my family. And I think it was over the Christmas, week before Christmas, I got a phone call. And it was, Michael Watson has injured himself. Do you want somebody to step in to fight Mike McCallum? Would you take it? And I said, absolutely. I said, I'll beat that old guy. I said, he's 31 years old. I said, he's over the hill. That's in my innocence. I believed that I was 25 and he was old. And I jumped at the opportunity. And that was in February the 3rd, 1990. So, I mean, I speak to kids about boxing now who've, fought won world titles and retired. I weren't even born when this was happening. So it makes me feel really old. Well, actually, it makes me sound old, but I don't feel old.
So Steve, when you think about this fight, the one in Vegas, I mean, of course, holds a special place in your heart. But obviously, of course, you're more well known for your fights against Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn. But would you put this fight in Las Vegas above those two?
What fight was this?
The one that at the Showboat Hotel in Vegas. Would you put that above the fights against Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn?
This Mike Tyson, was it?
No, your fight at the Showboat Hotel.
Sorry, I thought you were going back the weekend. You spoke about, you said the weekend.
No,
what just happened. Oh, my fight in Vegas. Well, it was a fight that was, I got a phone call. Well, the Petronets got a phone call. Steve, there's a show on in Vegas. Do you want to top the bill? You're fighting the California champion. You're ranked in the top 10. This will bring you closer to number 1 to get a title fight. Let's take it. So we took it, and that's how it was then. We didn't have the videos and the records and the social media. I didn't know anything about this guy. I didn't know anything about him till I basically saw him in the ring. I never saw him fight. Knew nothing about him. So we were always thrown in the deep end then. So to me, that was the education I got. I'm not even sure if that's the question you asked me. I think I misunderstood your question, but to me, it was another learning process in my trade and moving forward to my ambition was to become world champion. But you got to understand, this fight happened nearly 5 years before I actually won the world title. So it was at that stage, that's the level I was at, and I still hadn't won a world title.
Well, listen, you just alluded to it just a moment ago about the fight of the weekend in Texas on Friday night, which saw Mike Tyson lose to a YouTuber. I can't even say his name. It annoys me so much. What did you make of the whole fight and the decision and also the action, if you can call it action, in those 8 rounds?
I actually was walking on the farm and exercising my horses. I heard the result, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. Overheard someone talking about it. I had absolutely no interest at all. I went to a show, I went to a small professional show recently, and I think there was 4 fights involved, and it was one of the best nights of entertainment I'd seen for a long time. Actually, no, it was the London Regimental Boxing Show in South London last month. I went to see it. It was an amateur night, and it was one of the best nights boxing I'd seen in years, because every fight was a good, even match, and every young kid that get in there had a go and had close fights, and some won, some lost, and that to me was entertaining. This other showman stuff that they put on for all the YouTubers and the kids that tune into with their phones and pay all this money, I've absolutely no interest in it at all. It's a sideshow. I give credit to guys, they're getting in, they're having a go, but it's more of a circus, and to me, it's not my sport of boxing that I would follow. To me, boxing is all about a good match. And a good match can be 2 novices or can be 2 guys fighting for a world title. If they're a good match, they will entertain. That's what I look for. And the weekend I didn't even bother because I knew it was going to happen. It's just a showman. It's a money-making racket, and that's it. Katie Taylor fight, yes. Katie Taylor to me is absolute. What a legend she is. What she's done for female boxing is unbelievable. That was the fight that you tune in to watch. The rest was just a sideshow.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, Muhammad Ali fought a martial artist guy who I believe, from what I recall, lay in the ground and wouldn't get off the ground and kept kicking Muhammad Ali while he was lying down and kept kicking him on the legs. Something ridiculous it was. I don't think I saw it live because back then we hadn't got the channels to watch these programs live. So this is, circus fights like this have been happening forever. People like Muhammad Ali have done it, so it's just more common now because there's more access to it through social media and that. Yeah. And there's more money. It's a lot of money. That's what I mean. Why not do it? The guys want to make money, and they can make it. Let them do it. It doesn't. But to me, it doesn't. Me personally, it doesn't interest me.
No, I get that. Listen, before we let you go, when you came on, you said you couldn't believe that fight we were talking about in Vegas was 35 years ago. You felt it was only yesterday. Here's a question for you. I've Googled it. Right, how long ago was it that you were in Lockstock?
Lockstock happened. I think 1940. Wow, that's got to be 24, no, but 23 years ago?
26 years ago, that was, 1998.
Jeez, I nearly could. Hang on, 1990, wow. I remember I was crossing the road in London and someone called my name out and I recognized the voice straight away, and it was Vinnie Jones. And he was driving, he said, Steve, how's it going? I said, Vinnie, what are you up to? He says, I'm making a movie. Do you want to come down and have a look? And I says, yeah. So we went down to the scene and Guy Ritchie was there. And he said, do you want to be in the movie? And I said to him, I'm not a trained actor. Oh, it doesn't matter. So we have a role for you. I said, what is it? He said, a doorman. I said, oh, yeah, I can do that. No problem. So they stuck me in a posh caravan, and I spent best part of a week, 4 or 5 days in the caravan, sharing it with Lenny McLean.
Oh,
wow.
What was that like?
And I sat with Lenny McLean, and people have opinions of him and so on. You know, he wasn't that good. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I didn't know him. But I spent 4 or 5 days with this man, and he impressed me so much afterwards, okay? The stories he told me were amazing. Just him and I was great, and he had great respect for me as a boxer because although he was a big tough guy, he was more in awe of me because he just respected boxing and he loved the game. And I think he would have liked to have been more successful himself. He was distracted, I guess. But he was talking to me, you know. And I'm looking across the table at him, and he had the biggest forehead I ever saw. He was a massive. No, I don't mean it. He was a big, handsome guy. But this head like a bull. And I'm looking at him saying, "What would you punch this guy, you may as well be hitting the wall. What would stop this guy if you come for you? This guy, he was scary." But what impressed me more about him was, I believe, he was a very unwell man. Seemingly, he had brain cancer.
Wow, I didn't know
and
that.
He never told anybody.
Wow.
And throughout the whole shooting of the film and before that and afterwards, he kept this to himself and he soldiered on and never whinged or moaned or looked for sympathy from anybody for what he was going through. And to me, I thought that's the bravest, probably one of the greatest things that anyone could do. That to me was true toughness, and that impressed me more than all the stories of him fighting and being tough and so on.
Steve, you've got so many great stories, and we've been lucky enough to have you in the studio before. When are you next in London? Because I'd love to get you in for a proper chat again.
I'm always in London. I live in London, basically. I mean, I'm living in London for the best part of 30 years now. So I'm always.
Can we get you in next week? Are you about next week or the week after?
As a matter of fact, I'm coming in next week. What am I doing there next week? I'm coming to do something in London next week. I'll give you a shout.
All right.
I'll let you know when I'm in, and we can come and
I love that.
sit in the studio and yeah.
I would love that, Steve. We're huge fans of yours, and whenever we speak to you, it's just brilliant. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week then. Let me know.
All right, great stuff. And yeah, thanks for the call.
Our pleasure, Steve. Always a pleasure and an honour. Thanks for coming on, man.
Cheers, lads. Thanks very much. Have a good one. Thanks.
You too, Steve Collins. He's got millions of stories.
Yeah, what a legend.
We need more time with him in the studio. That'd be great.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.